let's get things started then. Let's get this train wreck started, shall we?
Yes.
Welcome everyone to episode 18 of the Whatnauts Review Show. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good, Kyle. How are you today? All technical difficulties aside.
Yeah, man, I have no idea what's been going on with our technical difficulties on this side. Mm-hmm. Eric and I we started like half an hour late just because I was trying to figure something out. We started 20 minutes late today. I'm still trying to figure stuff out, and it just, every day it's something new. It's terrible.
Oh.
Besides that, though, I'm actually doing pretty good. I had a good day yesterday. I went to the movies and saw, what was it called? This scene, not Sorry to Bother You. It was the other one with Daveed Diggs and his friend. They wrote it. Blind Spotting. There you go.
Oh. Sorry,
major brain fart. I went to go see Blind Spotting, and that was fantastic. If you guys aren't familiar with the movie, go look it up. It was awesome. It was hilarious. It was heartbreaking. There was some really, really funny moments. There was some really, really intense moments. Daveed Diggs was one of the original cast members in Hamilton. So you guys might know him from that. And it's the story about this guy who is on he's on probation. He has 3 days left, and so he's trying to keep his head down and just kind of lay low and not screw up. And his best friend is he's kind of a wild guy, and so it leads to some interesting situations. But there's a couple times where it almost dips into a musical. Not really. Like, it's not a musical. But if it was, I would describe it as like a minimalistic musical at times.
Ooh.
Like in their spare time when they're like at work and stuff, he'll start to like freestyle and rap, and so he'll just start rhyming, and they do it in the movie in climactic situations as if that's the actual dialogue they're having. So they're actually somewhat rapping, and the music kind of intensifies and the rap gets more intense, and yeah, it's good. It's really good. I loved it. So highly recommend it to everyone out there. Good stuff. How about you, though?
Speaking of musicals, last weekend after we recorded about All-Star Superman,
yep.
I went to a local theater and I saw a live production of Annie, and as soon as Daddy Warbucks comes on stage, all I can think about is Lex Luthor. And then he mentions he is from a poor family in Hell's Kitchen, and then all I could think about was Kingpin.
Yep.
And
there you go.
The back of the programs for this local theater have a list of like the repertory, like every show they have ever done at this theater. And they do 7 shows a year, and they've been doing it for 100 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's a lot of shows in there. So I was waiting for the show to start, and I'm like just putting little check marks next to everything I've seen, and I counted it up, and I have seen 48 individual musicals at this theater, Kyle.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And like a lot of them are like shows like Wizard of Oz or Beauty and the Beast that'll get shown. Yeah. They'll do a couple times, and there's shows I've gone back and I've seen twice, the same production of them. So I've been there more than 48 times, but yeah. Just it was boggling to put that into a number. I have seen 48 individual musical shows at the same theater.
That's awesome, though. Fantastic stuff. So when I go to the movies, I walk, which it's a long walk, but that's partly because I don't have a car, and I don't really want to pay for an Uber or to ride the bus. But I always walk by, I'm guessing it's a local theater called Firehouse Theater that was made out of an old fire station.
Ooh.
And I think yesterday they had a magic show going on there. They had some stuff there, so I think eventually, especially since you're always like, I like theater, I'm going to this play. I might go sometime, and instead of seeing a movie some week, I might go see a play. Who knows?
I highly recommend it. Like, live theater is so exciting.
It's good. It's fun. Well, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this week on the review show, we are talking about an anime, not a musical or a theater production. But we are talking about an anime called House of Five Leaves. Each week here on the review show, we pick something new to discuss, whether it be a comic book, movie, TV show, anime, manga, or more. And we read it, we watch it, we do what we gotta do, come back here and talk about it. And you know what? I am not prepared for who produced this, directed it. Let me go to the interwebs here, see if I can figure this out. Come on, Wikipedia, don't fail me now. Oh, sweet. It was written and directed by the same person. Awesome. So this is an anime based off of a manga, which I have not read. Looks like there's 8 volumes of the manga, originally written by Natsume Ono is the person's name, but the anime was written and directed by Tomomi Mochizuki. And the studio that made it was Monglobe. And it's only 12 episodes. I've seen this once before. This is one of the ones that I pitched. Well, actually, this is a show that I watched on my own time as I was doing research for this show. Because I was like, what's out there that I could potentially watch and pick? And I found a list of a bunch of underrated anime.
Cool.
And I've over the past like 2.5 years now, I've been watching some of them now and then. And this was one of the ones on that list, and I watched it, and it's a very interesting show. But I before I kind of say what I think, I want to know what you think, because you were excited to pick this one.
Yeah, it's not what I expected. It's different from the way you described it. Not that I feel like you described it inappropriately, just that it created a different image in my mind than the actual product is. And it's different than like every other anime I've ever seen. I went into it expecting certain stylistic and plot things that were not there. Yeah, there's it's quite a journey. This anime. So what were you expecting? You pitched it as like a samurai and crime show. So I was expecting it to be a lot more action-packed. Okay. A lot more intense. I thought I mentioned it was a slice of life. Maybe I didn't. I think you probably did, and my brain just zeroed in on like gangsters and samurais, and I'm like, oh cool, it's gonna be full of sword fights. It isn't. I am here to avenge my brother. Yeah, I was expecting stuff like that, and it is all of these slow, ponderous human interactions about things. Yeah. Very much a slow-paced slice of life, kind of mulling over the moral ramifications of what's happening and stuff like that. So, it's... to some people, I think that may make it sound boring. And yeah, there isn't very much action, but I think this show
just as it continues, gets more and more interesting. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, what is really going on here? There's kind of a mystery that develops as the
Yeah.
show continues. Yeah, it's a lot different from like another slice of life we did in Kids on the Slope, which is still about that like human interaction, but there wasn't much of a mystery there, right? It
No.
was just like, oh, I sure hope they remain friends. Whereas this was like, wait a minute, this guy's really not who he says he is. What is going on here? There's some kind of deeper thing going on here that I don't know about. No. So yeah, it's this like suspenseful edge of my seat. What is happening? You know. So yeah, you did like it though.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad because I rewatched it again. I was like, man, this is a lot slower paced than I kind of remember it. But yeah, I really like this one. It was good. It's good. Yeah, so I guess elevator pitch for people who may not have seen it. We follow this supposedly skilled swordsman, this samurai, who's kind of down on his luck. He just got fired from his job. So he moves to a new city and is looking for employment, having no luck. His name is Masanosuke. They just call him Masa for short. And as he's kind of out there not having luck, he sees this guy who's just kind of real free. You know, nothing to do. And he just seems to be happy. And he's sitting there with a beautiful woman. He's just like, man, I want to be that guy. And as fate would have it, that guy ends up hiring him as a bodyguard. And it's kind of more of a, hey, I need you to stand there and look menacing. I don't need you to actually do anything. And as it turns out, this guy that hires Masa is who Masa comes to idolize is a gangster. He's a kidnapper. And so he starts to have this kind of moral conundrum, just like I'm really idling this guy for how calm and collected he is and how confident he is, and I want to be like that, but he's a criminal. What do I do? And that's kind of the show. The mystery that we mentioned is who this guy that hired him is. He goes by the name Yaichi, but as the show continues, his past kind of keeps coming up, and it's like, I don't know, who really is this guy? So yeah, it's good. It's good. I had a lot of fun rewatching this. But yeah, so if you guys have not watched it yet, I highly recommend it. Melissa, did you watch it online? You said you found it pretty cheap, I think, on Amazon or something is where you found it.
Yeah, it was $10 for the 12-episode season on Amazon, which seemed like a fair price to me.
That's real
and
good.
I'm old-fashioned, and I prefer watching things on my actual television set and not on my laptop.
There you go.
So, like, paying the extra bucks is worth it for me to just be able to click on my TV and just watch something there.
$10 is good, especially for, like, this is one on that list of, like, underrated stuff. Like, how come I haven't heard of this? This is really good. If you like interesting characters, good story, not necessarily drawn to action or stuff like that, and you just want a good story, this one I think is gonna be right up your alley. That being said, if you haven't watched it yet, we're about to get into spoilers, so heads up on that. If you guys did not know, we normally do this show live. We are live right now. We don't have cameras up because of technical difficulties, and I think I mentioned that at the start of the show. We've been having a ton of them lately that we are still trying to figure out, and it's new stuff that we haven't really had before, so I'm just kind of like, what in the world is going on? Why is my computer doing stuff it's not supposed to? So yeah, there's no cameras on this episode, but we do, if you missed the live stream, we normally put this up as a podcast and up on YouTube the following week. And if you don't want to wait, you can sign up at patreon.com/the Whatnauts for $1, and you can get things early. There you go. That was your time to go away and watch this show and then come back. And you can now join us for our discussion here. Melissa, now that we have free reign to talk about whatever, what is on your mind? What is something that stood out about this show that you want to start the discussion with?
I want to talk about the dynamics of the actual House of Five Leaves themselves, which is the name of this criminal gang, these 5 members.
Okay.
And how I realized kind of by the end of the series, I wish this had been more Ocean's 11-y in that everybody had like a set thing that they did, and they kind of did. Like, Ichi's the mastermind, Ume's like, a big kind of imposing guy. He can be muscle if you need him to be. And he's got
the
like
heavy lifting transport.
Yeah, and he's like the resource guy. Like, they hide their kidnapping victims within his home and his tavern that he runs. And then Matsu is like a local craftsman, and so he has these appointments to like sell things to people and like take commissions to make things for them. And
so let's back up a step. Let's talk about what they actually do as a team first.
Yes.
So that way we can kind of work out. So it's not like, so he has hair appointments. So the House of Five Leaves kidnaps people and sells them back to the families for money. But they only target kind of corrupt officials or landlords, just richer people that they know have the money, or people who are kind of fucking up the economy and stuff like that. Just like they would be the ones to go kidnap kids of Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, and be like, hey, you're screwing up the economy, you're not paying your employees, you're doing terrible things to the brick and mortar stores that are here, and they go kidnap the offspring or their relatives or something and sell them back to them. So you guys are criminals, but you kind of have this kind of thing going on here. So that's kind of what they're doing. And then, as you were eventually saying, they each kind of have their part to play in this. And what was his name? The hairdresser guy? I'm terrible with names.
I wrote that one down. Matsu. He makes these metal hair ornaments, so like little chopsticks and clips and things like that, and he'll go around selling them to people and like meeting with people to, I guess, make something for them, do these custom orders. So he's kind of he's got like a personal touch. Like, he gets out there and he gets to know people and he gets in their home and he kind of cases things out. So like that's kind of how he gets into his angle, what he offers to the team.
Since he's that like artisan metal worker, most of his clients, they can pay for his very expensive things, his hair pieces. So that's how he gets in their houses and starts compiling research.
But what I was waiting for was Otake, the woman, to get a little bit more to do. I realized at the end of the series it wasn't 100% clear to me
what she did,
what she brought to the team that nobody else did.
Yeah. She wasn't... Well, obviously they owned. I think she's kind of one of the ones in charge at the brothel. Yeah, she says she used to be. She used to work at the brothel. You're right. It's very, very, very confusing. I think it's also another place for the members to kind of gather and meet, and to, I mean, in case there's customers at the bar, and they need to be secretive, because the bar will only be open so late. And if they need to do some stuff at night, they might need to meet some other place to go. So it might just be an extra location for them to operate out of.
Yeah, I liked her, but I did wish she would have gotten a little bit more to do than mostly just commiserate with the rest of the gang and, like, be their drinking buddy and be their sounding board.
She might also be an information broker. She might be the one that kind of has her ear to the streets, because if she helps run the brothel, there's going to be all sorts of people that go in and out. And I don't know, like, I guess I've never seen it discussed, but all of those traditional old school Japanese houses, most of the walls are literally made out of paper.
Yes.
Like, paper and wood. So if anyone is doing anything, everyone can hear it.
And those, that gave me one of my favorite moments in the entire series, which was something I had never thought about in my life, which is, like, somebody gets killed or, like, gets injured, gets hurt. There's a blood splatter on one of the walls, and there's no way to clean that off of a paper wall. So they cannot hide that evidence. So they know, like, the local officials are coming, and what they have to do is she just has to take one of her hair picks and stab Ichi, and they have to pretend like they're just having some lover's quarrel, and then the police will be like, okay, well, that's your private business. You folks continue. Let us know if you need any help. And they're not going to investigate the actual crimes anymore. Like, oh, I've never thought about that being an obstacle, that you have, like, you cannot change your environment. A stain is there forever, literally, because everything's made out of paper.
Well, I think that was Matsu, right? That got stabbed? Wasn't it? Maybe not.
I don't remember who actually got stabbed.
That person was kind of running from the cops and went in there to hide. Yeah, so she took her hairpin and stabbed him. And then that was like, it's a lover's quarrel. Let him go. We have no business here. You dirty cops, you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were like, oh, shit, sorry. Don't mean to interrupt. Continue whatever you guys were doing there. Which is also a weird hands-off approach.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, if a cop has probable cause to go in there, which they did, and in this show they went in there and they see someone stabbed, they're either going to be like, guns out, swords out, like, what the hell is happening here? And they're just like, oh, not our business. We're going to stay out of this one. So, yeah, that was an interesting turn of events there. But yeah, I guess she might be their information broker person, hearing all sorts of stuff, and then be like, hey, maybe we should go after these guys, and that's when they send Matsu to investigate. Who knows?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like everybody has one job and their job is just their job and nobody else can do that thing. It doesn't have to be that, like, individualized and segmented, but I do wish we would have had a little bit more of an example of this is what everybody's strengths are and this is what it looks like when everybody is working together and combining their strengths, and let's watch the mechanisms of this whole thing move forward. Yeah, that I think would have been cool to see. Like, I
definitely would have 100% watched an entire show on that and how they pull off these heists and kidnapping schemes. But that is not what this story is, though.
No, it isn't.
It's I think in the sense of like ancient Greek plays, this is absolutely a tragedy. It's because you have these two characters that are kind of revolving around one another, and they're both kind of intrigued by one another. One of them is Masa, the down on his luck samurai, wanting to get over his insecurities, his anxieties, all of that, just wanting to be this calm and collected, very, very confident samurai. And then there's Yaichi, who for the longest time we don't really know what's up with him.
No.
He's just like, this guy is kind of interesting. Yeah, as his past unravels, he becomes the broken, like, down on his luck character. Did you catch the reference back to the first episode at the end of the show?
Yeah, the whole series opens up with that flashback, and then they return to that flashback at the end.
There's that, but there's then when Yaichi goes to hire Masa has basically given up. And I was like, well, shit, I'm not going to find a job here. And he's at the temple shrine sitting in front of one of the pillars, just like down in his luck, looking like a homeless person. And that's when Yaichi comes up and offers him a job.
Okay, like that.
He's kneeling in front of him, and he has these dumplings on a skewer, right? And he's like, I want to hire you. But then at the end of this show, the roles are reversed. Yaichi is completely broken, and he has no idea who he is, because everything he's lived for was kind of wrong. He realizes it's not what it was. The people that wronged him were not the ones that he thought they were. And he took on the name Yaichi because he thought it was Yaichi that wronged him, but it was not. And so, just like everything he's lived for is gone. So he's down on his luck, and he's at that shrine in that exact same spot, sitting there looking like a homeless person too. And that's when Masa comes up and offers him the dumplings. And then they have that role reversal, and she's like, I see what they did there. That's so good. It's good. And then they have that funny moment at the end when he's out and he eats the dumplings.
Yeah. I liked that bookend. I liked their relationship to each other.
Yeah.
How they were genuinely very interested in each other, and they really had no business being around each other except for like the financial practicality of the thing. I need a job. I need somebody in my crew who can do this. But beyond that, they're just intrigued by each other. It's just these two guys kind of circling each other, being like, what's your deal? Who are you?
That's exactly it. Just like, you're kind of cool.
Yeah.
I wonder what you did like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and like somebody's talking to Yaichi, one of the other members in the crew. They're like, that's not like you. And he says, I know more than anyone that this isn't like me, to bring a guy in really just because I'm interested in him and to like start to forge this friendship. But like, he can't stop himself. Like, he has to have this guy around him in some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like it was their two planets or meteors or something just crossing, and their gravitational pull starts pulling them in, and they start circling one another. But yeah, it's interesting that they are basically complete opposites. And then by the end, their roles have reversed. And it's not necessarily that their roles have reversed, but they've come so far from where they started that it's, I mean, actually, I kind of struggle to even stay that. There's still that whole thing of Masa running away from the fight. Mm-hmm. Still, his sister eventually comes up, and he's still trying to pretend like he's weak to this cop, which isn't much different from him not pretending that he's weak. So, like, it's one of those things, like, they say he's a good samurai and his swordsmanship is unparalleled, but there's very few times that we get to see it, and when we do, it's very fast. And it's like, okay, well, you just knocked the guy's sword out of his hand, and that was it, and the situation kind of blew over, which I guess in those times, thank God that's how that happened, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't feel like he ever really got over his anxiety or stuff like that. But I feel like he's at least much more assured of who he is and his role in all of this.
Yeah. At the end of the series, Masa is not a better samurai, but he is a more fulfilled person. Yeah, exactly. Like, he doesn't really learn anything in regards to his skill set or his job, or his life path, but just his personality and just his contemplation and his relationships with other people. He's like, I'm just going to try and take it one day at a time and not worry about the past, because that's what you seem to do. And of course, no, all Daichi does is worry about the past, and so he has to have his own message he was putting out there, like, echoed back at him for it to finally work on him and for him to try and stop worrying about all the trauma of his childhood and just keep going forward.
Yeah. It's interesting. Let me ask you this. Without giving you any context, did his story remind you of anyone from any other TV shows or books or anything else? You're smiling, so I think you know what I'm getting at now. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I love the story of I took on the person that wronged me in my youth, because it reminds me of Sawyer. And also Wolverine.
Sawyer from Lost, yeah.
Yep. Just a criminal who steals somebody else's name.
Thank
that's
God
something that gets me.
You got that. I knew you would, because we both love Lost, but I was like, you know what? He really reminds me of Sawyer. Melissa's gonna love this. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite aspects of it. Like, and even before Lost started, I remember my older brother, who's way more knowledgeable about comics than I've ever been. Like, after we saw one of the first 2 X-Men movies, he's explaining to me, Logan isn't Logan's real name. He was born James Howlett, and then this Logan guy, like, killed his parents, and then he went out on the run, and he adopted the name of Logan, which was, I think, my first introduction to that trope out there. So,
con
Lost
man
and everything else always reminds me. Yeah.
Con man who somehow wrongs your family or something, so... take on that name to go hunt them down, or have some sense of I guess some, like, weird revenge thing. I don't know, just like some need to understand, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I always like that, and I like that this had the bonus of his original identity. Like, he's supposed to be dead. Like, the kid he originally was is supposed to be dead, so he had to pick another name.
Let's talk about him and what happened to Yaichi. Long story short, the same con that he runs on all of these big fancy vassals, I think is what they kept calling them in the show, he's running the same con that happened to him. I guess he was... I guess somehow he was the son of an important family or something like that, and he gets kidnapped, and as he... Well, it's kind of revenge, too, we learn. Because he has this whole flashback scene where he basically chops off a guy's head with absolutely no remorse. And I guess it was... I mean, was that one of his brothers?
I don't know.
There's a bunch of them that said, oh, he's my brother in arms. So I know they weren't... A couple of them weren't actually brothers. But they were like, we'll make the youngest be the one to enact out the punishment on the guy who did wrong. So that's why they bring out, I forget his original name, but they bring the kid who grows up to be the Yaichi we know. And they're like, oh, chop off his finger. And he raises his sword, and they're like, oh, shit, he's not going to chop off just the finger. And he chops off the dude's head in, like, one swing. Which is supposedly pretty difficult to do. So the fact that he could do it in one swing probably means he was either somewhat skilled or that sword was very, very sharp. But they're horrified that he killed this guy, and that he didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they're like, what do I... Like, he had no remorse at all, no emotion. And because of that, that's when they're like, oh shit, we need to get back at this family and, you know, like, right what has been wronged, because that punishment was too much. And so they kidnap him, and the guy that kidnaps him mentions that the one that sold him out was his only friend, Yaichi. And so that's why he's angry at Yaichi, and so he takes on that name, and when he's older, he was running that same con. Down the road, he learns, though, that Yaichi was not the one that sold him out.
No.
And it was most likely his mom, like he originally thought it was. But I guess they don't really say if it was his mom or not. But they just said it was not Yaichi, and that's kind of what breaks him. That this idea that everything he's been trying to live for and understand was all wrong. It never happened. And yeah, and his family, I guess, I guess, like, at the news of it was Yaichi that sold him out, he kind of gets this idea of like, well, how about I join you instead? Don't sell me back, but I'll join you. And yeah, so they fake his death, and that was it. And yeah, crazy backstory.
Yeah, and this story kind of becomes Yaichi has to take the compass he has had pointing him through his entire life and just pick it up and throw it away and go get a new compass. And he gets to be almost like a real friend for the first time in his life. Like, Masa gets to be his new, like, point north. Like, okay, this guy is going to anchor me. I've got a relationship with somebody. I've got somebody that offers me friendship, offers me hope, offers me kind of this fresh new start. Like, every day's a new day. Don't worry about the past. And that's also kind of what Masa gets from him in return. Yeah. I've got a new path in my life. I have a new way of thinking. I have a new, very good friend.
Yeah, well...
And he worries a lot less about being a samurai.
There's a really good exchange between the two kind of before all of that comes to... Or as all of that is coming to light, where he's like, look, I learned to let go of my past because of you. That's what you taught me, right? However, you're the one that's still living in the past. Like, you're stuck here.
Yeah.
And I guess some people kind of knew he was in a gang before. They didn't know exact stuff because they're all kind of criminals, so they're all just like, we're not gonna poke around too much into other people's past and stuff. You know, we all know we did some bad things, but that was about it. And yeah, and Masa is the one that kind of figures out what's happening, and Yaichi is you know, not who he says he is. And then with the cop that he also kind of befriends, who used to know the guy that grew up into Yaichi, he puts everything together, and he's like, you're the one stuck in the past. No, Dad, what about you? But yeah, so he calls him out, and there's this like moment where he's just like, I hate you right now, but you're right, you know. So yeah, fascinating stuff.
What I thought was really interesting about Masa and his story was that it was very different than what I was expecting based on other anime I've seen. So Masa, he is very skilled, but he has no passion. He has no drive. And it's not like he was a great samurai at one time and then there was some incident that traumatized him and he's like, I can't kill someone with a sword
bad
again.
Social anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, he mentions that he just doesn't like people looking at him.
And I am used to an anime, like a shonen anime, giving me a story about somebody that is not very skilled yet, but has a ton of passion and has a ton of drive and really wants to get out there and roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty.
As long as you don't give up, you can do it.
Yeah. And so to have a story about somebody who's like, I could do that, but it makes me very nervous and I don't really care about doing it, was like
opposite.
Not what I was expecting at all.
I know a lot of people are watching My Hero Academia right now, and that's basically that character. He's not good at what he does, but he's trying his damned hardest to become the absolute greatest. And he just won't give up no matter what. He's just like, yeah, I can get behind that. You know, and it's just this very meek, modest. Don't look at me. Don't.
Yeah, like
please don't look at me. Oh God, they're looking at me. Oh God, run away.
Like, his goal in life is to skate by. He's like, I just need to survive. He doesn't have like a goal. He doesn't want to be a champion, and he knows
that it's a problem though.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what he's trying to get over. He's not trying to be the best that there ever was, you know, like no one ever, you know, and he's just like, I need to at least be confident in who I am, and he's struggling with that, and which is, what do they call it in the show? I think I don't remember when this was made, but I feel like social anxiety and stuff like that has come into kind of the public mainstream consciousness a lot more nowadays than it used to be. I forget what did they call it? At least in the one that I watched it online, they called it his personality. Like, this is just my personality.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's a weird way to describe that, because it's not really your personality. You just don't. I mean, I guess you can kind of get away with saying it's your personality. Like, this guy very, very, very obviously has social anxiety, but he's just like, I wish I didn't have this shit.
Yeah. What did you think about the setting for this show? Because I liked how insular the show was. That it was just the small group of people and all of the conspiracies kind of wrapping around them, but it never expands out that big. There's never more than like 7 people involved in anything. I wish I had a better sense of the type of city that was around them. Like, I know they're in Edo. I know that was the capital of Japan at that time. But, like, if I didn't know it was the big city, I couldn't tell it was the big city by watching this show.
I mean, there's kind of some side comments and stuff that this is, oh, this is a bustling city, let's go let's go enjoy ourselves at in the red light district. And there's the whole thing about the Edo sickness. Like, this was kind of at a time when these cities in Japan were first starting to, starting to pop up, at least starting to be a main staple of how this is how life is. And so, the whole Edo sickness is kind of just, I don't know if it was a real thing or not historically, but it seems like this mix of homesickness and claustrophobia.
Yeah, like I think I read, this might have been in one of the Amazon episode descriptions that I got this, that Edo sickness is a local nickname for something like beriberi fever. Like, it is a legitimate disease.
I have no idea what beriberi fever
I don't know either, but that is something I've heard before. So I'm like, okay, this is a real disease. At least it was at some point.
It sounds like Captain Crunch. Oops, all berries. Berry cereal.
Yeah.
Beriberi fever.
comes with a free thermometer in every box.
With the color changing spoon. Do you remember those in the 90s?
I have a color changing spoon.
Fuck yeah.
I have one right now. It's a Star Wars spoon. It's got a little plastic ray on top
You're
of
amazing. It seems like they knew the story that they wanted to tell and they told it. And that was it. Like you said, it did not expand on how what they're doing is affecting the city, because it seemed like they ran those kidnappings fairly often, and they're always hanging around each other. So you would think if this one guy gets hired as a bodyguard, you would kind of know his circle of friends. I mean, maybe not, but I mean, it's still like one of those things you would think, like, except for that one cop character who's kind of investigating them, but not really. Like, he's more so investigating Yaichi, just trying to find his old friend, and that's it. But, like, there really is no cop investigating them. There's no, there's no, it's very concealed, of just like, we're gonna focus on these people and the relationship between Masa and Yaichi. And I'm fine with that. I think I think if you're interested in that time period and what it's like, there's tons of stuff you can go check out and read and stuff like that. Because it seems like this is, and I don't know facts and names and dates on historical Japanese stuff. Yeah. But I know that once kind of the era of the samurai was ending, there was this effort to kind of like write down all of their teachings and stuff like that, because they're like, oh shit, we're dying out, no one's gonna remember us, and so they start to write all that stuff down. But when a samurai would go into a town, like they were kind of important, right? Like they're kind of like the Brahmin almost in Buddhist philosophy. Like, they would go into a town and whether they were begging or not, like the Brahmin would beg, but the people would provide and give them food to the samurais, right? They would go into a bar and they wouldn't really have to pay. And so the fact that he is going into the big city and looking for a job and he's finding nothing means that like samurai are not what they used to be nowadays. And he's still very, very much wanting to have his strict code of conduct. No, I will be a bodyguard. And he's desperately holding on to that. And eventually he's just like, well, is there anything else besides being a bodyguard? Maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, there's some interesting stuff that's happening at that time, but yeah, I think it's a case of they knew the story they wanted to tell, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. Like, I understand why it is so insular. It's just like a personal taste of mine that I really want to know what the setting is like. And I wrote down in my notes, I can't tell if this is a hotbed or not.
It kind of is.
Like I wish I knew if the citizens were living in fear. That would have impacted my viewing of the show.
I mean, I don't know if I would say that, but for the sake of it being that time period, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wasn't uncommon to have this thing where, you wronged my family, there needs to be some kind of punishment. We're gonna kill one of your servants. And that was that. You know, that's how they conducted business. So I think there was a level of fear that we don't know about today, or maybe we don't, you know. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know your life, you know.
Yeah, I'm an illegitimate heir. Like, somebody's gonna come for me at some point.
Who knows? But yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I guess I don't really know where I'm going with this. But yeah. Well, changing subjects a bit here. What do you think of the art? The animation and the artwork?
I think the settings and the landscapes were really beautiful. I like the way they used lighting. I liked how a lot of times the weather was very specific. Like, it snows and then you'll see snow still lingering on the ground. I liked that part of the way they talked about the way they used setting. And the character designs themselves were interesting.
It's very stylized.
Yeah.
I struggle to find a word to describe it accurately, because on one hand I want to say they are like misshapen and grotesque, but they're not really. I think, especially in the moment when you see Yaichi just kind of lost in thought and carefree, not lost in thought in the sense that he's like brooding or struggling with how to deal with something, but when there's times when his eyes are shut and he's almost asleep, you know, he's carefree, he seems he's half asleep, kind of lazy look about a lot of the characters, which is kind of interesting. That's what Masa wants.
Yeah.
This carefree look, where, I mean, yeah, it just looks like he's absolutely lazy and sleepy. But even he is designed like that, and oddly enough, he has that connotation of laziness and sleepy. That's what other people see him as, and that's not what he wants. And he wants to seem confident and stuff like that, but in a way that's carefree, you know?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting choice of art. I don't know. It's It's not my favorite style, but I think it works for this one story. And again, it's only 12 episodes, so it's a real quick, just, hey, here's this one stylized story. Have fun, you know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, did the artwork give off a certain vibe for you, or was there something that stood out, or like a certain character that you were like, oh boy, that
Well, everybody's features, they've got mouths as wide as their entire face, and these huge dark eyes, and like these long noses, and they looked like if we were watching an anime in any other style and somebody walked up looking like one of these characters, you'd be like, oh boy, something has happened to them. That's like an alien in that person's body and they look wrong. But everybody here looks like that.
Is this what Ito was like back then?
Yeah, who knows? Everybody just looked gaunt and ghoulish.
Sickness that everyone is talking? Is this berry fever?
Yeah, it was... When I was looking up the show, I did see a lot of, like, comments about it. It's like, the art's weird, but you'll get used to it after a couple episodes. And that's right, I did. But I could never exactly figure out if the art style was supposed to mean anything or represent anything. Like, if there was a reason why everybody just has big black eyes.
I don't know.
And I couldn't quite nail that down.
Let me see here. Do a quick internet sleuthing here. What else? The original creator. That's their most recent one. Let me see. I'm looking up the original creator, the mangaka.
Where is this show from?
When is it from?
Yeah.
2010. Original run was from April 15 to July 1st.
Okay.
Hold on just a sec here. So the original creator was Natsume Ono. That is the person. It's a woman. First gained her prominence through her 2003 webcomic, La Quinta Camera, which was subsequently published by a Japanese publisher. Several of her works have been published in English by Viz Media. Her most recent one is called Lady and Old Man. Old Man. Lady and Old Man manga. Let's see what the art style is like. That is an interesting art style. Let me see. House of 5 Leaves.
I'm not looking this up. I'm just looking at your own face as you look this up.
Yeah, you're looking at my reactions. I'm doing this... Interesting. Okay, so I have seen some of the art on this. The art is very stylized. Much more so than much more so in the manga as well. This is not your typical, like, anime manga style. So yeah, a lot of times when anime studios will adapt a manga into anime, they will try to at least keep the spirit of the original creator's art style and the character design. They might change it a little bit just so it fits in animation better. The manga is a lot more cartoony. Not in the sense that it is a cartoon. I mean, I don't know. I guess it looks cartoony.
Oh, another thing I kept thinking.
Much more graphic in like not in like a graphic violence way, but just like thicker lines, their eyes are these like big black circles. Their the line work, is just very thick. Rather than the thin anime manga lines that we see.
Something else I thought while I was watching the show that I just remembered because I didn't write it down was that everybody's face looks like an exaggerated, animated shock face, but it's stuck like that all the time. Like they just have like the wide gaping mouth and like the big giant eyes, like like it looks like a gag over exaggerated expression face in any other show, but no, everybody looks like that here.
I like it. It's especially the mangas. I may have to go read the manga now. There's only 8 volumes of the manga, and manga usually reads pretty quickly. If we do an episode on manga, we usually read 3 to 4 volumes. So it should be a pretty quick read. So I like the style of the manga. It looks good.
Yeah, I didn't mind the art style at all. I just couldn't exactly figure out why it was what it was.
Yeah. One of my favorite animes, they do the same thing where they tried to keep the style of the original manga, and the show is called Initial D, and it's like racing cars and stuff. Think of like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, but the character design, the art style is just so bad. It is terrible, but I love it because it's so bad. And apparently the art from whatever the comments, it was like they kept the same art style, but this is a hell of a lot better than the manga. So I don't know. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. There's a lot of manga made by women that I'm always kind of like, oh, huh. I didn't know this was made by a woman. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Good for them.
We could do an episode on some female mangaka in the future.
Yeah. We've I was gonna say we've done Paul and I did an episode on Ranma 1/2.
Yes, I remember that
Takahashi.
one.
Yeah, I believe that's her name. But yeah, cool. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about for House of Five Leaves?
I just briefly wanted to throw out that I like the music. I don't have a lot to say about it. I just liked it.
The music was interesting. I think it got better as it went on. Because I remember the first couple episodes, something was happening, and it was a very, tense, emotional moment, and it was this, upbeat, fast-paced thing, and I was just like, what? This doesn't fit at all. But I think as it went on, it was like, oh shit, maybe we should pay attention to that, and it shouldn't be maybe it shouldn't be this upbeat, happy stuff all the time. I do have to say I like the end credits song. Yeah.
Yeah, both the opening and ending credits were shocking to me just in how different they felt from the main show.
I mean,
they did not seem like they would be a part of a straightforward historical drama.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say more slice of life.
Yeah.
And I feel like as much as it doesn't fit, it fits for for like, hey, this is life. Do yeah.
This is what Masa is aspiring to.
Yeah. That's the first one is a little bit more subdued, a little bit more melancholy. And I mean, there's a lyric in this song where the woman singing, she says in English, "Show me your soul," or something like that. So, which I think really encompasses what this show is about. And at the end, it's this like more happy kind of upbeat thing, which I think we just mentioned is what Masa is hoping to be. So yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I don't know if I really have anything else to say. I think if you want more stuff kind of around this time period or similar stuff, I would check out Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, that's a good recommendation. Yeah.
Anime. That's I think a lot of people would like that. It has some interesting stuff that is fairly accurate historically here and there. They made up a lot of that story, but like bits and pieces in there that are somewhat historically accurate, like the Oniwaban Garup and stuff like that. What else? Also, just like that kind of like meek samurai who supposedly has really good skills, you know. But Rurouni Kenshin actually does have some fucking amazing skills. And there's a lot more action in that. Also, Paul and I did an episode on Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh, yeah.
That is a manga that I absolutely adore. If you're a fan of, like, Akira Kurosawa movies and stuff like that, and the whole, like, samurai type of thing, check out that manga. It is amazing. It's about this samurai who was framed for some crimes, and his wife was killed in the process. And so now he's wandering around, eventually going to get revenge on the people that did this to him. But he's waiting for the right moment. But the whole time, he has his baby with him. And he's like this murderous samurai with a young child with him there. And it's fantastic. It is great. And it's supposedly extremely well researched and like what was happening historically. And I like the political landscape, and I think some of the major players in that manga are based off of like historical figures from that time. So that could be something that's interesting to check out.
Yeah.
That being said, I really loved this. I think it is underrated, like that list that I found it on said. So thank you, internet list that I found on some website that I do not remember. You did great. Check it out. $10 on, I think you said, Amazon?
Yep.
Well worth your money. That being said, I think things are going to be a little bit different this next week. Again, we normally live stream these every single Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Time. And you guys can check us out at thewhatnauts.com/live streams or on twitch.tv/thewhatnauts. Go ahead and give us a follow there. That would be very much appreciated. But if you, Melissa, are going to be busy next Sunday, so we're going to be switching things up a bit. So I don't know if we're going to do it live. We might just record it and send it out. If we do it live, it's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday night. So we'll keep you posted on that. If not, we're just going to record it and episode will be out the following week. Yeah. I guess that is it. We'll keep everyone posted. What do you have for me for next week? For the lovely listeners, for everyone following along at home? Because that's exactly what we want to encourage you guys to do, each week here on the review show. Watch what we watch, and you guys
Yeah.
can join in the discussion. What do you got?
So for next week, because we're recording ahead of time because I'll be on vacation, I've accidentally picked 3 movies in the past, but this time I deliberately picked 3 movies because of our shorter time constraints, and they're all pretty well known, easy to find movies.
Okay.
And they're all under the very specific theme of youth of the past live the last days of summer.
Youth of the past. Okay, so I'm guessing this is like Stand By Me and...
Oh, I want to see if you can guess the other 2. Keep going.
Oh, man, I have no idea. That was like the one. Unless it's like a similar movies to that, so maybe The Goonies?
Oh, I didn't put Goonies on there.
Other ones kind of in that genre. Adventures in Babysitting?
No, that's one I'm going to put up for later at some point. I'll keep that in mind down the road.
Breakfast Club. I'm just naming 80s
because they're
movies.
in school. No,
Yeah, but,
okay.
I mean...
Okay, so you...
And one more. What's the one... They remade it recently. Red October? When the...
Red Dawn?
Red Dawn, yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. It's not The Hunt for Red October, but I knew it was Red something. the one where the like Russians come and attack, and the kids have to like defend the school. Or I'm sure I'm wildly wrong on all of these, but still.
No, but you did get Stand By Me. This is a 1986 film directed by Rob Reiner, based on a Stephen King short story, and this is set in 1959. It is about 4 boys, last days of summer vacation. That's the theme for all of these. And these 4 boys hear about a dead body, like let's
go boogie with a stick.
Yeah, they hear about like some friend of a friend of a friend, like some other boy about their age who got hit by a train and his body's just lying out by the train tracks, and they've got nothing better to do, and they're just like darkly, morbidly curious. So the 4 of them just pack up their knapsacks and hike out to see if they can find this dead body. And it's this charming but also troubling coming of age story about them just walking around, being friends, asking each other questions like, if you could eat one food for the rest of your life,
Pizza.
what would it be? Oh, cherry Pez, hands down. It's fun moments like that, and then, oh no, the local gang of toughs is gonna point a knife at us.
Do you watch Community? Have you seen that show?
I have seen some Community.
In season 1, their Halloween episode, Abed dresses up as Batman, and he's doing his Batman voice, so he's talking like this the entire episode. And each of the episodes had like an end credits scene, like in all the Marvel movies. And they're all fucking hilarious. There's one where Troy and Abed, it's basically Donald Glover and Danny Pudi, and they're fucking hilarious. And he's teaching Troy childish Gambino, but so he's teaching him how to do the Batman voice. He's like, so it's like this? No, it's a little more like this. But then after he's got it, he goes, if you woke up as a donut, would you eat yourself without even questioning it? that just reminds me of that. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Ooh, cherry Pez.
Yeah. So that's Stand By Me. That's pitch number 1.
That's pitch number 1. What do you have for pitch number 2?
American Graffiti. This is
okay.
Yeah, this is.
I wouldn't have guessed that because I haven't seen this one.
I haven't seen it either. This is a 1973 film directed by George Lucas. This one is set in 1962, and this is also about a group of they're older teens. They can drive. They're about to go off to college. This is a series of vignettes about all of these local teens and what they're doing on like the last night of summer vacation. So it all takes place over one night, and it's set in like 1962, so it's all like rock and roll and car cruising culture and like the prosperous America in between, you know, two different wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen this one.
Interesting.
I know it's well regarded. It's, I think, George Lucas's first directorial feature-length debut after like THX 1138, before Star Wars. There was this.
Sure.
Yeah, so that is pitch number 2.
Lucas, before he became Lucas.
Yeah. And pitch number 3 is one of my favorite movies, not to sway you. You're welcome to pick any of these. This is one of my favorite movies. It is Wet Hot American Summer.
Okay, I haven't seen this one either.
It's great. It's from 2001, and it is set in 1981 about the last day of a summer camp.
It's a comedy, right?
Yeah, it is a big, wild, bonkers comedy, and it's mostly a spoof of, like, teen sex comedies, like, oh, it's the last day of camp, I gotta get laid by the cute girl before I go home, and also, like, more young adult camp adventures, like, we have to beat our rivals from the camp across the lake. It's a lot of that stuff jammed together with a lot of other bizarre plot points threaded through the whole thing, and it was created by
amazing
David Wayne and Michael Showalter, and a lot of people from the late 90s, early 2000s sketch comedy group The State. And this is packed with comedic stars. It's got a young Amy Poehler. It's got both Paul Rudd and Bradley Cooper. So there's 2 superheroes in this.
There you go.
So many people are in it. Joe Lutulio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. H. John Benjamin plays a can of vegetables. Christopher Maloney's in it.
Didn't they do a sequel on Netflix? Didn't Netflix do something with the original cast?
Yeah, Netflix has done 2 TV series based on this.
That's so funny.
The movie itself is the last day of camp, and so they did a short series that was the first day of camp, and they also did a short series that was 10 years after that last day, because that's how the movie ends. Everybody's sitting around, and they're like, we should try and meet back up here 10 years from now and see where all of us are in life.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Stand By Me, American Graffiti, or what was the name of this third one?
Wet Hot American Summer.
There you go. I'm gonna do that one. Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes. Good. Thank you.
Sounds
I hope
wacky enough. I've heard good things. I've heard very good things.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and it's not us reconvening in a couple days and you're like, why do you like this thing? That was crazy, and I'm trying to convince you that it was crazy in a good way.
That would be a good episode. No, that would be good content. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you like this? And you adamantly being like, no, you don't understand. So in this scene, blah, 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 you know. That would be amazing. Okay, so Wet Hot American Summer for this next week. Again, we might not live stream it. Follow us on Twitter at the Whatnauts for any updates. We'll let you know if we are. If not, we are gonna pre-record this, and it'll be out whenever the next podcast is out. I guess we're live streaming this, so the episode that just came out to the day that we're live streaming this was episode 17. That's up on podcast services right now, or on YouTube, thewhatnauts.com. Next week will be the one we just live streamed. Before that, we'll be a little bit into August at that point. Cool. Sounds good. Again, you guys can usually catch us live at thewhatnauts.com/live streams. If you miss that, you can get this as a podcast or on YouTube the following week. Or if you like our shows well enough and you think we deserve some support, you guys can go to patreon.com/thewhatnauts. You can throw us all of your hard-earned money. That way we won't have to kidnap your children and sell them back to you. That way our shows can continue to grow. And that way we can keep the lights on here. So
I need
if you
all
like
that
what
money
we
for
got going
metallic
on here,
hair ornaments.
yeah, let's buy all the metallic hairpins that we can with your support. So that means sign up at the like $100 level tier, and we can make that dream come true. You guys can support us for $1 a month, and that will get all of our episodes early for you. You guys can enjoy those basically before anyone else does. And hopefully some cool other stuff down the road. That being said, Melissa, where can they find you on the interwebs these days?
You can find me on Twitter at Wilkywit, WILKYWIT.
There you go. And you can find me at Hush315. Again, you can find all updates for all of our podcasts at the Whatnauts on Twitter. And you can go to thewhatnauts.com for more info, all of our podcasts, and hopefully soon some articles and reviews or something like that. We'd like to get more of that kind of content up there as well. That being said, hope you guys enjoy your week this week. This has been the Review Show. We will see you guys next time. Adios, guys.
Bye.